Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to learn how to make pasta carbonara, one of my favorite pastas of all time. First, what you're going to want to do is dice up guanciale. If you can't find guanciale, which is cured pork jowl, you can find either bacon or pancetta as a substitution and it'll work just fine. Now you want to make sure that you dice your pieces not too large and not too small. If they're small, they're going to burn, and if they're too large, they're going to be raw in the center. So, as you can see here, I'm just doing the tip of a pinky size, dicing them up. It doesn't have to be perfect. Rustic is just fine and it will turn out very delicious. Once you've finished dicing up your guanciale or pancetta, get yourself an egg. Depending upon how many people you're using, I like to go with 1 egg yolk per person. Now just crack it and separate the yolk from the white and place the yolk in the stainless steel bowl. Once you place the yolk in the bowl, then grate some fresh Pecorino Romano or Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Traditionally, it's with Pecorino Romano. You can use either or you can use both. It's up to you. Now I'm adding about 3 or 4 tablespoons. I'm going pretty generous, right on top of the yolk. After you grate the cheese, make sure you crack a generous amount of black pepper right on top of the yolk and the cheese. This really makes the dish. I like going very heavy with the pepper. I think it should be spicy. I think it complements the guanciale and the yolk and the pasta. It just gives it really good flavor. If you don't like pepper, you can use less. Use your judgment. It's up to you. Now we're going to crisp up the guanciale or pancetta, whichever you're using. Now I get a saute pan over medium heat. I add a little oil, and then I add it right in. Now, you don't want to go too high because it will burn and it will get very, very bitter. But you also don't want it too low because you don't want it to take 30 minutes. This probably took me maybe 5 to 6 minutes. Now you can see a lot of that fat rendering out. It's starting to get a little crispy on the outside, but not burning. So this is exactly what you want to see. Now it's almost ready. I'm really scraping the bottom here. It's rendering out a lot of that fat, and I'm going to pour it into a bowl and reserve everything. The fat and the crispy guanciale, reserve it all. Once your guanciale is nice and crispy, then you're going to want to throw your pasta into the boiling water. Using this really high quality Rusticella d'Abruzzo pasta, it's spaghetti. It takes about 10 minutes. You can use any kind that you like. In the meantime, put your guanciale with a good amount of fat into that cheese, egg yolk, and black pepper mixture. It's really important to add quite a lot of fat. I'm adding about 2 or 3 tablespoons because that's really what's going to give it all the flavor. Also, try not to drool in the bowl while you mix this together because it is so, so good and it smells delicious. Now, I like to make sure that everything is pretty warm. If it's cold, when you add the pasta, the sauce will not come together right. Now, let's check our pasta. I like to use tongs and I like to bite it in half. And then, as you can see there, it's still a little undercooked, so it needs to go a few more minutes. Now, after 2 or 3 more minutes, you can see here that it's cooked all the way through, and that's how I like to enjoy my spaghetti carbonara. It's still going to have a little bite to it, but it's cooked. The next step is to add your boiling hot pasta out of the water directly to the bowl. Now, it's really important that you add some of the boiling pasta water straight to that bowl. That's going to help with the sauce. It's going to help emulsify the egg yolk and the fat and the starch from the pasta and just make everything really beautiful and really delicious. I usually add about 1 or 2 ounces per person, and this is just a single serving right here, so I'm adding about 2 ounces. It's quite a bit, as you'll see, but it will turn into a beautiful sauce. Now with the bowl off the heat, just using the ambient heat from the pasta and the water, stir, 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 and you're going to watch that sauce thicken up before your eyes. Once the sauce comes together, you guys will be able to know if it's too thick or too thin. If it's too thick, just add a little bit of pasta water. If it's too thin, then add some more freshly grated cheese. You don't need to stir for too long. You don't want it getting cold, so probably 20 seconds will do. And it should look nice and creamy like this, and if it doesn't, then you probably need to add some water or cheese. But use your judgment, and practice makes perfect. Now it's time to plate it and eat it. So what I like to do is very simple. I just grab a large pinch, pull it up away from the bowl, and give it a little twist just for a little presentation. I'm not a big fan of using tweezers or a fork and spoon. I think that takes way too long and I think that makes your pasta cold. I like the rustic presentation just like you see here. Now that it's plated, make sure that you top it with some more Pecorino Romano and enjoy right away. You don't want it to sit around too long. It's not as delicious. Start to finish, this whole dish probably took me about 15 minutes, and it's an excellent recipe that's going to blow anybody away that you cook it for. That only takes 15 minutes. I mean, it's really quick, it's really easy. Add it to your repertoires. If you guys have any questions, include them down below, and I'll answer. And bon appetit, guys.